Good morning, Donna. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Issue 35.
Thank you, Travis.
How many issues have you been to?
I'd like to say 6 over the years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So what brought you to Issue 35? Did you do a presentation?
Yes, so we've got a number of posters, but one in particular is quite close and dear to my heart.
What one is that? Can you
That's
explain
the Sandy Point Man.
I'm not familiar with the Sandy Point Man. What is up with him?
So he was an unidentified human remains case in Victoria, Australia, that was located in 2017 by a snorkeler. So he was buried under the water. And so he was found, and he was almost a complete skeleton. So it was quite unusual for us to find a near complete skeleton that had been in the ocean. And he had quite a distinctive dental work. He had a gold filling, so initially we named him Pirate Man.
Okay.
Because of the gold filling, we thought maybe he's a pirate. So we tried all our conventional means of identification for this case. So we do, for example, odontology work, anthropology. In this case, we also did bomb pulse dating to give us an indication of potentially how old these remains were.
Sure.
So we knew that it was going to be pre-1950s because of the radiocarbon dating. So we had a bit of an indication that this individual potentially was a little bit older than our sort of contemporary cases. So it was a great case to work, and it was one of the first cases that we did forensic investigative genetic genealogy to provide us with an identification lead.
Really? So what did you find out in the end? What was the...
So in the end, it was quite I guess for us, finding who these individuals are, giving them a name.
Yeah.
This individual is Christopher Luke Moore, who actually drowned in 1928. He had been out with his family, unfortunately got into some trouble. He drowned, and only his jawbone was found at the time. So, and that was buried. And then, 95 years later, his remains were identified, and we were able to reconcile them and give them back to his family. But the interesting thing was that his family had lost the history of him. So they knew that they had an uncle back in the family tree who had drowned, but they didn't know their story. They thought perhaps that he had drowned off a boat, but we were able to actually give them documentation, tell them his story, and they were so grateful to be reunited with him. They actually invited us to be present during his burial and reunion with his family. So it was really, I guess, for us, why we get up every day is to be able to finalise these cases and give families back their loved ones.
Yeah, that is an amazing thing about this entire forensics community is just that final goal of trying to help people.
Correct.
So how many other cases do you have? Do you have other
Yes, we
remains
do. So there are a number of unidentified human remains cases that have been reported to the Coroner's Court in Victoria over the years. There's about 100 or so of them. Now, we don't have DNA for all of them, but there's about 30 cases which we have tried our conventional means of identification, that is uploading a DNA profile to the missing persons DNA databases. Haven't had any hits, and therefore the next step for us is to try this FIG approach to see if we can identify them. So for us was about evaluating whether FIG would work for Australian cases, because obviously we didn't know that at the time, and also I guess see how the process would work in our hands. So this was the first coronial identification where a coroner accepted FIG as the means of identifying an individual.
That's so cool. So where do you get all of your cases from? Like, who is submitting these to you?
So in Victoria, the way it works, any unexpected death is reported to the Coroner's Court. Now, and that includes all cases where someone unexpectedly dies. So for most cases, we know who they are, so we don't have to do identification. But there's a small proportion of cases, about 10% each year, where we have to do scientific means of identification. And that could be fingerprints, dental records, or DNA. And we're also involved in assisting the state in disaster victim identification.
Okay. So How in the world did you decide to go into this field?
I came a long way around.
Okay, let's hear.
So back in the day when I did my studies, I did a PhD in molecular biology when it was in its infancy. I started with cancer research, and then I went into animal genetics and genomics, and then found myself in forensics. So it wasn't something that I planned to go into. Start out of my studies. However, ever since I've been in forensics since 2008, it's been a wonderful place to sort of practice your trade. And for us, it's really about giving back to our community and being able to help people.
Yeah. What has the ISHE conferences done for you, and networking and getting to know people?
And that's exactly, the networking is second to none. And for us, it's really, particularly now where we are collaborating with people internationally on FIG, where we are using service providers here in the United States. For us, it's really about being able to see these people face to face, being able to have those discussions that really afford you a way of being able to further your work. So for us, it's about the networking, but also hearing about the latest of what's happening in the forensic community from a DNA point of view. But also, importantly, I think it's a conference where it is about the application of methodologies. It's seeing kind of the end product of that work. So for me, that's really interesting, and I've loved to hear the stories of people that have been touched, from the work. So for me, that kind of gives me the next boost.
Right. Were there any of those this year? Any of those stories that you heard?
Yeah, and also just talking to the attendees and seeing their work and listening to what they've been doing kind of says, I think we're all aiming for the same thing. We're all wanting to help people, and we're all applying our tools perhaps slightly differently, and we're governed by different, legal systems and policies, but we're still all aiming for the same thing.
Yeah. Well, it's been great chatting with you this morning, and will I see you at ISHE 36?
I hope so.
Yes, over there in Florida, right?
Yeah, I have to get my travel approval.
Okay. You can start on that as soon as you get back.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much.